So that's the goal. We are going to try to do something like this. It's a very basic detail, and it's something that once you have done this, you can copy this detail for all the projects that you are working with that are similar to this. If we are working with a passive house residential building and we want to open a window, you can copy that detail in all your projects. So let's do it. First, we need a section. Okay, so we have here the one of the levels. So we need a section through the window. So the first thing we need to create a section through the window. This one. And we have the window here, and we want to focus on that part and that part, okay? So first, what I would do is to show the whole building. Okay, so I'm going to use this section to show the whole building. I have this section, but this is not the detail that I want to drag into the sheet because it has reference planes, it has levels, things that I need to keep drawing. But for the presentation, I want to get rid of all these things. So I duplicate the section. I'm working with section 2 in my drawing. This is section 2. So I'm going to duplicate view. And this is going to be section 2. And I have already 2 sheets. So that will be section 2, sheet 3. Okay. And now I have to clean it up. First, I just want to focus on the section itself. So I will work with the crop region like that. Okay, so that's the wall section. That's the wall section, basement to roof. And then we need the callouts. So for this, I need to hide the levels. I need to hide the reference planes. And what about the grid line? I don't know. Sometimes I want to show, sometimes I want to hide the grid line. Now I'm going to hide it, okay? So when I have this, I need to take the callouts. So the callouts, I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to focus on the window sill. By the way, sill, I think it's not with a C, it's with an S. Yeah, so the window sill is this part of the window. Okay. So I want the call out. It can be both windows are the same, the first floor and the second floor. So it's up to you. I'm going to create view, call out. Okay, so let's do it with okay, I'm going to try to show everything. Probably it will be too ambitious, okay? But let's try to do this. So that's gonna be the call out 1. And I'm going to show the window head and the beam, the roof. So I'm going to try to show all this stuff. And the second call out, I can copy. And on this second call out, I want the window sill. So I just want to focus on this part. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work with the window head and the roof to wall transition. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe I need 3 different callouts. So I have a call out here and just another one too, or maybe I can do this all at once. Let's see. But this is for sure. I need a window sill. And now I hide the crop region. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show, and this is what I'm going to drag to the sheet. So I need to create a new one, sheets, right click, new one. We are working with a vertical format, 22 by 34 vertical, so that's it. And I want to rename it. This is number 3. And the name is window vertical section. Okay. So now I have this, the 3D details. We have the horizontal section, the window, and the vertical section of the window. Those are the 3 sheets that I need here. I have to drag the section here, this section to sheet 3. So I place it here, and now I have to adjust the scale to say 1/2. Can make it even bigger. 1. 1 is too much, so it should be 3/4. Okay, so at 3/4, it fits in this sheet, and that's perfect because I have the section, the wall section, and then I have the callouts. In this wall section, well, there are things that probably I don't need, okay? Because all these textures, I don't need them. So how can I get rid of that? Good question. So I have to go to the section. And now I have to work with visibility graphics because I'm working with hidden lines, okay? But those materials, I have selected materials, and by default, those materials have a texture, and they are not helping me understand what's going on here. So I'm going to select this, and if I override graphics in view, let's hide all these foreground and background surface patterns. Yes, so that makes more sense, okay, because I don't want to see all these lines. The same thing here. I need to understand what I'm looking at. Okay, so override graphics in view by element, and I don't want to see this. Let's see, okay, so that works. And the same thing here. Override graphics in view, and I don't want to check the surface patterns. Same thing here. Okay. And do I want to show this? This is the thermal insulation, so it has a terrible texture. I don't like it. So I think I'm going to override graphics in view. I'm going to do by category, because if I do this by category, and if I don't show, in this case, it's a cut element, okay? So probably if I don't highlight it, or if I don't check the surface patterns and apply, nothing happens. So probably I have to uncheck the cut patterns, and now if apply, yeah, that's it. Okay, so you see that with this, in this case, and does it work? No, it doesn't work. Even the category, I have to use all the elements. So I select this, override graphics by element. I have to work with the cut patterns, then I apply. And that is cleaner and nicer, especially when we have to print this out. It will be much better if I, yeah, okay, because, well, I still have the same thing here. So what the hell is this? Okay, so in this one, I override graphics in view. and that would be a cut pattern. And that's it. Okay, so that looks better, especially in that sheet. All these textures or hatches that are bothering me, I'm not showing them. And that's the difference between that detail and this detail. Okay, so in this detail, I can add different materials, and there will be a difference between that scale and the following scale. Okay, so then adjust the size of the callouts. So we have to drag here the callout 1 and callout 2. I'm dragging this callout 1. It's too small, so I'm going to make it much bigger. 1/1/2. Can I make it bigger? 3. Okay. I think now I want to use the second one. The scale has to be the same, so it's 3. And I have to line the details up. Yeah, so when this dashed line appears, that means that the details are lined up. Okay, I think it works. Yeah, so it's I can show everything on that detail. I can show the window sill, and then I can show the window head and all the stuff that I have from the window to the roof. Okay, but I have to clean this up. Okay, so now I have to work with this callouts and okay, so let's work with the callouts. So I have to open a callout 1. I can work with the crop view. I have to adjust the crop view to the minimum, so that's it. I don't want this, so I'm going to hide in view that grid line, and I want to hide the crop region. Okay, so now on that sheet with it, so now it looks much better. And I have to do the same with the window sill, with the callouts too. So I have to get rid of the grid line, and I have to shrink this crop region, and then I have to hide the crop region. So let's open callout 2. Yep, so this crop region has to be like this. I want to get rid of that, hide in view, and hide crop region, and then I open the sheet again, and that looks good enough. Okay, so that's the starting point. I have the wall section from the basement to the roof, and on the same sheet, I have information about the callouts. So now I have to add details, textures, and things. And well, we have to start working on that, but I think it's worth having this, because at this, if we print this out, probably we can't tell all the details that we have done here. Okay, so we need to increase the detail. And now let's start. Window vertical section. Okay, so I'm going to start working with both callouts 1 and 2. So let's work with callout 2. And well, we can work with this example Or we can do something better, I think. Imagine that I'm using this as a guideline. So I'm going to open Paint. I want to save this as a JPEG image, not a PNG. Save it as a JPEG. Sometimes PNG doesn't work with Revit. So I'm going to save it in downloads. That's the window detail. Save. And now I'm going to, in this callout, I'm going to insert a picture, import image, and it's in downloads, window detail, open. Okay, it's here, but now I'm cropping the view. Okay, so if I show the crop region, I have this option, crop view. If I select do not crop view, well, basically I don't crop the view and I have the picture here now. Okay, so I'm going to start like this because I want to see the picture, and then I will crop the view and I will hide the crop region. So we have to copy this here. Okay, so we have done some of that, yeah, some parts of this stuff, but we have more elements here. Okay, so you see that we are almost there. Okay, so we have the siding. Here we have the siding. It has a different dimension, but it doesn't matter. Then I have this cavity between the siding and the first layer of the thermal insulation. So I have the same cavity here between the siding and the thermal insulation. And in my drawing, I have another cavity. In this case, they don't have a cavity, probably because they are not using the glue lamp structure. So our detail is slightly different, but well, and now I want to focus on all these stuffs that I haven't done it here. Okay, so I need to do this. I can do this with a 3D view, but I think it's better if I add this as a 2D detail. And then I have to place all these text. As you can see, there are a lot of things that we have to place. We have this powder coated aluminum seal. Again, seal should be with an S, with vertical upstands beyond vertical reveals. I don't know what that means, but anyway, this is like a flashing. This is something that gets rid of water. It's made of aluminum, so it gets rid of water before, yeah, because all these can be exposed to the water. And I have this compact foam fillet places and whatever. So the same thing I have here. And this is the element, the frame that I use to attach the fixed part of the window. And then we have the movable part of the window. I'm not going to copy this because I don't understand quite well what this window is. We can tell that there's a triple glazing here, but that looks like a fixed window. It doesn't look like a movable one, or at least I can tell. Anyway, let's start adding details here. So first, again, I don't need this because that's the texture that the wood has. So I want to get rid of this. So hide in view, no, override graphics in view. And that's the foreground and the background. I apply, and that goes away. Okay. Then these are, this is one of the horizontal elements. They are made of wood. So I think in this case, in these wooden elements, it has just like a cross like this. We can do this, or we can try to see what Revit offers for this texture. Okay, so if I do this, I override graphics in view. I'm going to use category because I want to use the same. I don't know if it works or not. We have the surface or we have the cut pattern. So again, This is cut, this element is cut, so I don't use the surface, I use the cut pattern. So I want to make it visible. I want to use, here we have wood finish. I'm going to use this one to see how it works. And then I'm going to apply. And that's the wood detail that we have. Okay. The good thing is that I have selected category and it has changed in the drawing. It has changed all of them. Okay, so I'm going to save this one for wood. Okay, so everything that is made of wood and it's sectioned, I'm going to use this. So if the seal is made of wood, I can do the same. I can go to select the siding, sorry, override graphics in view, category, and in cut pattern, I'm going to use the same wood finish material. I apply, and there you go. Well. This is not what I want because okay, I want the seal to be made of this, but this should be the thermal insulation. Okay, yeah, because I have selected component model in place and category. So what it has done, all the component model in place, they have used the same material. Okay, so that's not what I wanted, but I can select this. I can override graphics in view. Now I'm going to use element. And for this cut pattern, I'm going to use a solid fill, but with a very light gray. Then I apply even lighter. Okay. If you want to use the same color, you can use the RGB values. 250 by 250 by 250 is white. So the closer to 250, the lighter the gray. So I'm going to use 225, 225, and 225. Then I apply, and it's lighter. So it should be a number that, or three numbers that I can remember easily. Because if it's 232, well, I can remember, I can write it down. But now I know that all the thermal insulation, I'm using the same grayish color. Okay, so that's thermal insulation 2. And not this one, but okay. So this is wood because this is the OSB board. So that makes sense that we have this hatch, but this central element should be thermal insulation. For some reason, can I select? Okay, I can select this because this is the part of a wall. Okay, so that's good when we're creating extrusion or sweep. It's better to select the right category because if I want to select this one and I can't, I can create a window. I can select a lot of things. I can filter, and the horizontal element belongs to the wall. There are structural columns, so I want to select this wall. So if I select the walls, I select this thing here. I can even differentiate between the cellulose and the rigid insulation. And I think this is what we have here, okay? So we have two kinds of thermal insulation. This is the timber straw panel. It's not cellulose, but it's a fiberboard made of wood, okay? So they grind the wood and then they compact it. So this is what they showed us in Benson Wood, this kind of thermal insulation, okay? But it's different from this one. And this one is protect wood fiber board. Okay, it's not rigid insulation, but it's a different kind of insulation. So let's try to do that. Let's try to do something different from the bulk thermal insulation between the stats and then the extra thermal insulation here. So we are going to use two different textures. So this one, let's override graphics in view by element. And in cut pattern, let's see what we have here. Probably we won't have anything good. Okay, so let's use a solid fill. And if this is thermal insulation, it has to be grayish. So I'm going to write 225, 225, and 225. Now I have the same grayish color that I have here, but this is the foreground. Then in the background, I'm going to use a material. And then in the background, I'm going to use this diagonal down like this. Okay, so what happens? It has to be the other way around. So the foreground has to be the material, the background has to be the grayish thing. Okay, so I'm going to select it again. Select, filter. I want to filter only the part that affects the walls. Override graphics in view. And I'm going to do the other way around. So this pattern, it has to be by material. So I'm going to use this one, this diagonal. The color, that's the color of the pattern. So I'm going to use black. And then for the background, I'm going to use solid fill. And by material, I'm going to change this to 225. And if I apply now, yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Okay, so I have a grayish color as a background, and as a foreground, I have a different hatch. I don't find this hatch here because that looks better as a cellulose or whatever, but anyway, I don't find it. What matters is that it's grayish. Grayish means that it's thermal insulation. I have a hatch here, so this hatch means, well, I will name it with a text. And if this is thermal insulation, this panel that I have here, I need to use the typical hatch for thermal insulation, that one. So I'm going to go to annotate. In annotate, I have this insulation, and I'm going to try it here. It's too thick, so I have to select it. It's 3 inches. I don't remember, I think it was 2 inches. It's less than 2. Maybe it's 1 inch and 1.5. Yeah, I think 1.5. I don't remember. Maybe you have used 2 or whatever. But yeah, so this is what I want. It's thermal insulation. It's grayish, but it's a different kind of thermal insulation. Probably this has some waterproof because yeah, it can be exposed to the outdoors. Okay, so if it's exposed to the outdoors, yeah, we need a tape, or well, it will have a different treatment to be water resistant. This thermal insulation that we have inside exposed to the outside. Okay. But the important thing is that I'm creating my code. So if it's gray, it means thermal insulation. And then if it has 2 different hatches, it can be the cellulose and it can be something. What else? Well, this is the OSB board. It's wood. So if it's wood, I have the same material here, here, and here because that's wood. And what the hell is all this? Well, I think there was a cavity here. In this case, I ended up filling this cavity with thermal insulation, and I think I should do the same thing here. Okay, so imagine that I have this cavity, and I'm going to fill this cavity as I did here in this roof. with thermal insulation. So here we have the insulation. This is the OSB board. And here we have more thermal insulation. And then I have an extra layer of thermal insulation. The more, the better. So I'm going to use thermal insulation here. And I'm going to do a different thing. I'm going to use, in this case, a region, a field region. And I'm going to create a rectangle. Okay. And I'm going to move it down if this is a crop region. So I want it to so now this field region, what is it? It is an extra layer of thermal insulation. So it has to be gray, override graphics in view. And then the background, it has to be solid, and the material, it has to be 225. The color. Okay, so the color is 225. And the material, now in the foreground, what do I need? Well, I used this diagonal down. Okay, so that means that this is thermal insulation, and it's the same kind of thermal insulation that I have here. Well, it makes sense. So that makes sense. I have a cavity, and I fill this cavity with thermal insulation. So I have this cavity between the OSB boards. So this is filled with thermal insulation. And then I have this cavity because I have to remember that I have the column, and I have to move it away from the column. So I have this cavity here, and now I fill this cavity with more thermal insulation. I think that works well. And now this is the tiny structural element that I need to nail another structural element, that it's this one. Here we have the cavity, and this siding is nailed to this element here. Do they show nails? Yeah, so look at this. So they are nailing this to the cavity. Can we do something like that? Of course we can. Okay, so those would be the nails. As you can see, this is nailed here and there. I don't like this that much. Okay, so let me do. So I have to imagine that I have to nail this element to this vertical that I have there. So how can I do it? I can use with detail lines. I can use detail lines. So I'm going to create a detail line like this. Okay, and this is hatched. Because we have this waterproof. Okay, so let me go to hidden or to, I don't find the right one. Okay, I've got this, and I got line style, and here I have the same thing, I think. Hidden. I'm not very happy with this detail line. Anyway, so imagine that this is a nail. I'm going to create an offset like this. Okay, is it good enough? Well, it works because that means that this siding is nailed to this vertical element. Why I like my nail more than this one? Well, first, because this one is punching the thermal insulation. That shouldn't happen. Okay, so I don't like that. And second, look at this, the head of the nail is exposed to the water. So this can be affected by water. We have nail can be made of steel, even if it's stainless steel. It can be affected by water, and we can have corrosion here. So that's why I want to nail this here, and then the following siding will be hiding the head of that nail. Okay, so that's why I would do, yeah, I think this is better. And then I can copy that nail, and I can place it in all the sidings here. Okay, so this is just to make sure that we nail this element to that one. And of course, the first one should be this. Okay, so now I have the nails. I'm not happy with this line type, but I will change it later. What else do I have here? I have the nails, the waterproof layers. Okay, so that is important. And this is a dashed line. Okay, so it's a dashed line, but the dashed line, it's not enough. I need a thickness. You see that this line is thicker than other lines in the. Okay, so now this is important. And how can I do this? First, let's create the line. So this is an air barrier. So I don't have the OSB board here. So I will create this on the outer side of the OSB board. Okay, so I have the OSB board here, and this is the OSB, and inside I have the thermal insulation. So I'm going to create that air barrier here. Okay. So again, I'm going to detail annotate detail line. And I have this layer waterproof. So what does it do? Okay, so it creates like a dashed line, and that works well. Okay. But the problem is that is the thickness. Okay, if you click here, you see, if you click this option, thin lines, we can have different thicknesses for different things. That goes well because I want this line, this waterproof line, to be here. Okay, so this is something that I apply to the OSB board. So I want to make it thicker. But on the other hand, I would like other lines to be so thin. The problem is that I use this option. I don't see the waterproof line. I need to do that. Okay. So what happens? What happens here? Okay, I'm going to go step by step, and I want you to understand what I'm doing. So if I don't want to make this line thicker, the OSB board, so I have to use the OSB. I have to override graphics in view by element, and in cut lines. So we have surface patterns. We have cut patterns and we have cut lines. So in cut line, the weight, I just want 1 because it's the thinnest weight that I can have. Apply. Okay. So you see what I have done? So I have reduced the weight of the OSB board. And now that stands out. Okay, if I didn't have this, if the OSB board has this weight, I can't tell this thing. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to select the OSB, override graphics in view. And in cut line, I want to make the weight just 1. And now this is the thinnest line that I can have here. The same thing with the cellulose. Okay, so I want to select the cellulose. I have to filter. I have to select walls. And override graphics in view. The cut line, I want a weight 1. There you go. Okay, so now by reducing the thickness of all these, this line type that I created is good enough. Okay. Do I want the siding to be that? No, I don't think so. So I'm going to select the siding again, override graphics in view, not category, element. Cut lines and weight 1. There you go. Okay, so I want this water barrier or air barrier or whatever to stand out. So I have to increase the thickness of that one. I can make it even thicker. Okay, if I select this one and I override graphics in view by element, the weight, I can make it 10. Doesn't make sense, okay? But so I will go by object style, and that will work better. Okay. Same thing here. I don't want this to be that thick. So I select it, I override graphics in view by element, and look at this. Oh, because I have selected yeah, here we have to be careful because I have selected the thermal insulation, and I want to select that line. So what the hell is that line? It's not insulation. Is it a wall? Yeah, I think so. So now if I override graphics in view, element, and cut lines, I want to make it 1. Okay, so now it makes more sense. And what about this? Well, this is now thicker, but I think that makes sense because if something is thicker, it's because either it's a waterproof layer, or I can use this code that the thicker lines, it's something that it's structural. Okay, so this is a structural because it's a solid wooden element that has to do with something structural. Okay, so I don't mind if it's a little thicker than the other one. The OSB board is not structural, the cellulose is not structural, the thermal insulation, it's not structural, and even the siding, it doesn't have anything to do with the structure. But this element is structural, so I will make it a little thicker. Okay, so as you can see, if we are using these kind of details, it takes time. It's not just, oh, I have modeled this. If I want to make it clear and I want to show a high quality detail, I have to work with all that stuff, okay? What else? Okay, so look at this. I have the air barrier here, and I have another air barrier from the window up to this element. So there's an overlap between air barriers. So at some point, I have to interrupt the air barrier because I have to interrupt the element. But if I interrupt something, I have to overlap those elements. So this is what they are doing here. Okay, so let's try to do this. So we can use this air barrier from this point. So I'm going to wrap all this, and I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to overlap this. Okay, I'm going to do it. And so another detail line, I have to use this waterproof. So if I use this waterproof, I start here, and I keep going down. And then I can get to this point, and then I can go down, and then I can go all this way. And now I can overlap this like that. Okay, so it's a different, well, we have a different detail, but the idea is that I have two air or vapor barriers. This is the air tightness membrane, okay? So the most important thing is that I have to overlap those air tightness or those air barriers. So in this case, my detail is like that. So I did this solid element. I created this solid element as a frame. So I have to wrap all this element with this air tightness barrier, and I overlap the air tightness barrier that I have in the OSB board with this one. Okay, so that's why in this factory they were taping, or they were creating all those tapes, especially when we have the windows. So that's why they were doing all those. So it's difficult, but that's the good detail. So I overlap the air tightness barrier. So are we done with this? Not at all. What is that? This is the frame that I created to nail that frame here. Okay, so we have different frames. So let's try to find out. So you see this, okay? So this is the foam fillet, whatever. Okay, so here we have to fill that gap, and it has a different hatch here. So if I select this element, I override graphics in view. And in the cut pattern, I'm going to select a material, the same material that I selected for the wood. If that's wood, I will do this. But the cut line, because this can be something structural, so I'm going to use that weight. So I'm going to make it 3, see what happens, apply. Yeah, I think this is slightly thicker than other lines that I have there. Okay, so I think this is good because, okay, so it's the same element as this one. What about the frames? The frame itself, it's made of wood. In this case, I use a wooden frame. So I can select the frame here, override graphics in view by element, and I'm going to use the cut pattern. I'm going to use material, and let's try this. I don't like this vertical one. I don't want to use the same wood 1 or wood 2. Plywood, it's not plywood. Masonry, diagonal. Okay, so let's use this one. Okay, different. And since that is the frame, I don't know, I want to make the frame something different. So I'm going to fill the cut pattern, the background, with a solid fill and something slightly darker than my thermal insulation. Okay, because that's the frame, and the frame is something important. So now if I'm happy with this, well, I'm not quite happy, but so I can do the same frame with the same criteria. So override graphics in view. The cut pattern has to be this diagonal, and the color, it was this gray. Okay, it's the other way around. Override graphics in view by element. This color is black, and the background color is gray. There you go. Are we done with this? Well, not quite yet. I think I'm going to look at the glass. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to override graphics in view. And the cut lines, I want 1. Because I want it to be slightly thinner. And this, that's the spacer, that's the glass. So this element I have here, this has to be filled with the silicone. Okay, so I'm going to make it a silicone that has to be something dark gray or black. So I can use a filled region. So if I use the filled region here, like this, and if I use a dark gray color to fill that region. So that's the silicone. And so I can create another filled region. And override graphics in view. Make it dark gray. There you go. Okay, so we're getting there. We can keep adding details. We can keep adding different line types. So we never end. But I think there's a point in which, okay, we can say stop. So let's stop because it's too much. I think at this point we are good. Well, I have to do this, okay? So because that's the interior part of the window sill, and I haven't done it, haven't done anything yet here. So I want to do this. Okay, so that's quite easy. We can do this in 3D, but I think it's way easier if I do this as field regions. So that's we have a structural element here, another structural element here, and this is something made of wood. This is when I can lean. Okay, so I need something pleasant. So let's do it. I'm going to create a field region. It can be like a rectangle like this. Let's say let's say 2 inches by 1 inch. I'm going to move it here. What is this? it's the same material as this one. So I can override the graphics, and the surface pattern, it has to be, I think it was this diagonal. Yeah. Okay, so it's the same material as that one. Now I have to copy this one, copy here. When you copy the hatch, it's not copied, so we have to do it again. It's not my fault. Okay, so I have created this thing, and now I need that. This is a timber sill. Okay, so it's something made of timber, and it's leaning here. I don't have to, because this is the openable part of the window. So I think I'm going to make this slightly smaller. Let's say 3/4 of an inch. 3/4. And now I need another region. And that region, I'm going to make it even better. Something like that. And override this graphic with the same hatch, this one. Okay. Well, I have this window sill, and I have this shape that I think it's better. And what else? Well, I think when we're done, I want to get rid of this hatch here. Okay, so I override graphics in view, and I don't activate the this one. Okay. So once I think I'm done, I can again crop view, and I can hide the crop region. And the good thing is that I go to the sheet right now. All these elements will be here. Okay, so now I have to name all the stuff that I have created. So let's start. You can name it in the callout, or you can name it in the sheet. I don't know. I think it's better using the sheet to put the text, because you can control the text size. If you are working with the callout, and if you have two different callouts at two different scales, the text will have different sizes. And well, I don't think it's a good strategy. So let's do this. So let's put the text on the sheet. So the text, the first thing we have to, I'm going to use this one, this 2-segment text. So the first thing I have to, it's a triple glazing. If it's a passive house, that would be low emissivity, like that. Okay, so the first thing is a triple glazing. Yeah, here they are not even letting us know that it's a triple glazing. So the first is a triple glazing. Second would be the wood frame. So I have this. So that would be window frame. Window frame. We have to print it out. And this is something that we will do next week. Okay, so when you're done with the sheet, I want to print it because the text size depends on the printing. So now we can tell anyway if it's too big or too small, we can always select it. We can edit type, and just by changing the text size, it will change all the texts accordingly. Okay, so if we print out the first sheet and we see that it's too small, it doesn't matter because we select the text, we edit the type, we change the text size, and it will be updated automatically. But so far, I think that's good. And then we have to start doing all that stuff here. Oh, so look at this. This is the compact passive house timber aluminum composite window. Okay, so they give us some information about the window frame. So we can copy this. Passive house timber aluminum composite window. Whatever. Okay. What's next? We have this is the okay. Tape dressed over plywood and sealed to airtight tightness membrane. And this is the brand Pro Climax or blah, blah, blah. Okay, but this can be the tape dressed over plywood. So that membrane here, it's tape dressed. Over plywood and sealed to airtightness. Okay. The membrane that we have here, can move it down. And if we extend this line to this can be the air tightness membrane. What else? So this is aluminum seal with vertical beyond vertical reveals. Okay, so let's name it aluminum seal. Okay, what happens? Yeah. Okay, and so on and so forth. I don't like this, so I want the lines to be parallel. So sometimes we have to adjust this. Anyway, we can define everything. If this is the oak wood siding. This is a rain spring cavity. We can define different kinds of thermal insulation. So I can copy this one. Okay, what kind of thermal insulation? This is the wood fiber board. I would say a waterproof wood fiber board. Because the other thermal insulation would be something different. Okay, and so on and so forth. If we are done, if this is crowded with a lot of information, and yeah, let's try to make the lines parallel. I can start here, so in annotate text. This can be OSB internal board. Then I can copy this one. That would be cellulose. Thermal insulation. And what about all that stuff? Timber seal. Okay. We have an aluminum seal outdoors, timber seal indoors. Makes sense. And okay, so that looks like a real detail.